what's the number one thing that you're seeing come in your office? Is it tummy tucks, or what body contouring procedure is really hot right now?
Yeah, good question. So right now, liposuction has been all the rage. And that is the number one cosmetic procedure that is performed in the United States as far as body contouring procedures. Really? So liposuction, yep. It beat breast augmentation. Breast augmentation is number 2. So liposuction is number 1. So
what part of the body is the most popular?
So I'm seeing a lot more like 360, lipo 360. So flank region, because women especially, and I actually see a fair amount of men come into my office as well, because men are kind of catching on too, you know, as they get to the middle age span of life, that midlife era generation anyways, they're at that point where they start to get that spare tire. They don't like that. They get increased in fat pad their mons, and so that drives them crazy. So I'm seeing more men in that respect. And for their chest, they like, and high def liposuction is becoming more popular, and people are understanding a little bit more what high definition liposuction is exactly. And essentially,
I don't know what that means.
Most people don't, and that's totally normal. And when you think about liposuction, because people think about liposuction, they think you're just removing the fat, right? Which we are. But if you are trying to mimic a very natural contour and aesthetic in someone's abdomen, it's not a two-dimensional object, right? No abdomen is like just flat like that. It has contours. You have some definition of the muscle there. And so the whole concept is that you can do liposuction to remove the fatty tissue in certain areas, but the high definition liposuction is going to be smaller cannulas. So the liposuction cannulas we use are smaller to create more specific definition to mimic the natural shadowing of the muscle and the musculature that we normally see that is considered a beautiful contour.
So if you're wanting to get liposuction, when should the patient come to you? Is it the last 10 pounds, 5 pounds, the whole thing? Should they do, I don't want to say a Ozempic because I'm not really for that, although I don't know much about it. But when should they come to you, and what can they do to prepare their body for the liposuction?
Yeah, also really great questions. And I look, no matter what, there's no one size fits all for everybody. Sometimes people, their personality wise, they have a lot of anxiety about everything and they want to plan ahead. And so they know their goal in mind. And so sometimes I'll see them before they're through their weight loss journey or before they're where they want to be, but they just want to be able to in their mind, put the pieces together so that they can get their life in order and get everything together so that when they pull the trigger, it's not like this chaos of like, okay, now we're doing this now. But some people come in and they're like, I'm ready right now. Like they're just ready immediately. And then we just go, right? So it's different depending on the person. Some people, in general, when people see me, it's their biggest insecurities that they have on display, right? And so that's so scary as a person. And when is the right time? There's no right time, because I think that no matter what time it's going to be, people are going to be anxious about it. They're not going to know what to expect. They're scared of surgery. I hear a lot of that. But really what I tell people is get to the weight goal you want to be at and try to maintain that if you can for a couple months before you have surgery, so that you don't crash diet, have your surgery, go back up in weight, because that's the most unhappy cosmetic patients that we have in our field are people who end up gaining weight after having cosmetic procedures. So you want something that's reasonable and sustainable for your body. So that's different for each person. Some people aren't, ever going to get to a BMI of, 18, right? And so we have natural curves and everybody's built different, and everybody's fat where they hold it is all in different locations too. So you can have the same number weight as a patient as somebody else, but their built is totally different, right? Or if they have strong muscle mass, they're going to be abnormally heavier. So I tell people have realistic goals about that. Understand your body and where your body is and where your body likes to be as far as set weight, okay? And then lots of protein. That is my biggest thing that I push on people. Protein. Protein is the building blocks for the recovery and healing. Majority of my patients, when you run their labs, they have low protein levels. And it's super common because if you think about what we eat in our society, it's mostly processed, carbohydrated food, and so not as much good protein. And so I recommend usually to start taking supplements like protein shakes, just something that you can take that's a quick, easy protein snack or meal that you can pop in throughout the day to get enough protein, because that's what you're going to need to really be successful with your recovery.
I have a tip for the listeners. If you're interviewing your surgeons, I always want to look at my doctors. What is the lifestyle of the doctor? You can so I'm an esthetician, and that's my present. So my face, my skin, you know what I mean? The same thing with your doctors. You look very fit. You look like you take care of yourself. I really think that's important. And I loved how you talked about that, because I do think that with any type of procedure and with your doctor, the most important thing is your food and your lifestyle. It has to be, integrated within. So I've noticed that a lot of the fit doctors, they're always talking about protein. And so you probably have your day structured. Like, I bet you already know what you're eating for your breakfast, your lunch. Like, you have to perform. You have to get through that day. So what did you have for today? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So I struggle a lot eating protein, and it's just like, cause I'm a busy mom. I'm a single mom. I have 2 boys. And so I'm all over the place constantly. And for me, I find that I can't eat large amounts of meat. Like, some people can eat the same amount of food over and over and over again. Right. I'm not that person. I can't measure a chicken breast and eat that. I can't finish it. It doesn't taste good. So in the mornings, I make fruit smoothies, actually. I tend to focus on fruits that have low carbohydrates in it, because I recently went through a phase where they thought I was diabetic, actually. And so I cut all sugar out of my diet completely. And so that was a huge awakening moment for me as well, and how much sugar and carbs we take in our diet. I started looking at everything, and I'm like, this is crazy. Even something that you think is healthy, like a smoothie, can be completely not healthy for you because of the choices that are put in there. So I use berries a lot in my smoothies. There's some frozen fruit I put in there too. I'll use plant-based proteins because I have lactose intolerance. So that adds another layer of difficulty, right? But so I can't have a lot of the yogurts and cheeses and proteins like that. So I have to supplement in different ways. And I have to find ways that I can continually and consistently get protein levels in, especially first thing in the morning is the most important time.
I've recently been eating more venison and bison, just because it's leaner fat, but higher protein. I do that too. Yeah, and I'm dairy-free and gluten-free and grain-free, so it's just a big mess.
But yeah, it's hard to find the right amount of everything when have a restricted diet. Because you get sad about the fact that you can't have cake or whatever.
No, all the little treats I have to think in advance. Like, we're going to the lake this weekend. We're having s'mores for everybody. I had to literally research the graham crackers, the marshmallow, the actual chocolate. Everything had to be. It's just a lot. So speaking of, so I feel like, okay, I've got my 6 pounds, but I still have. Oh, I got so much cellulite from the baby. And I don't know if it was my choices while I was pregnant. I'm definitely more healthier now. There's not really a cure for cellulite. But is there anything that we could do at all, in your opinion, for that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think that the fact that you mentioned about how this happened after your baby is spot on. Okay. Cellulite pops up at different times of our lives for different reasons. It's sensitive to hormones. So sometimes people will go their whole life without cellulite, and then all of a sudden they're going through menopause and they're like, what the hell? Where did all this cellulite come from?
That's what I'm going through.
Mm-hmm. And I hear that a lot because those women are so confused. They're like, I don't understand. How did this happen? And because of the hormone changes and all those things in the skin laxity that occurs can make cellulite worse. There's a lot of topical things out there. So I literally tell people, in general, when we're talking about skin, everybody's skin is different. But if there is 20, 30 different types of creams that promise that they're going to take away your cellulite, I promise you none of them work. None of them really work that good. And so really, as far as from a surgeon standpoint too, we were in a position where we didn't have a lot to offer patients with cellulite either. Liposuction does not do a good job getting rid of cellulite because the cellulite comes from the bands of the skin that pull down to the deeper tissues. And so we actually have a new device that came out. I believe it's only available in the United States. Actually, I had a patient that I had a consult with who is actually in Asia, and she said that they can't get it there. But this is a device called the Avali. And Avali is essentially like a little cannula, and it's got a little knife on the end that you can control. And so you go in and you find the band and you hook the band and you cut the band. This is done in the office with numbing medicine. So we use the same medicine we use for liposuction, and then we lice all those adhesion bands that are pulling and causing the dimpling and stippling. And that makes a huge difference. And it's a one-time thing. You don't need to have it done again.
I saw that on your website. So my question with that was like, I would just done that. But I thought, I have a lot of cellulite. Like, it's not just one dimple. They're like all there. Yeah. So how do you deal with that if you have like them all over your leg? Are you going in multiple places in the leg, or?
Well, typically there's only 2 points, and because the cannula is long, I can actually reach the entire buttocks area and down into the thigh area as well.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's super common that women won't have only 1 or 2 spots. Like, if we did, that'd be so cute. I wish, right? But it's never the case. And you see all these things online and you're like, oh, that's cute. She's got like 2 spots. Like, that's not the reality is the majority of people who do have cellulite, which is over 90% of women, it is in multiple locations. It is in various levels of dimpling, divots, dents, like all kinds of things, right? And so in general, the Avali, you can lice up to 50 bands with one device.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yes. And what is the downtime looking with that?
So that's 2-week downtime of wearing like a tighter Spanx or yoga pants.
Okay.
Yeah, the downtime is really not bad.
Just numbing cream. You don't have to be under anesthesia?
Nope. You're awake the whole time.
The whole thing? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Usually people are on their phone because they're on their belly, they're playing on their phone, and I'm just like, hey, are you doing okay? Because it goes, once you start, it goes pretty quick. But the patients don't really have too much discomfort with them. I mean, the biggest complaint that I have afterwards is just the usual stuff that I tend to see with liposuction as well, which is, you can get some fibrosis or scar tissue that happens afterwards. That takes time to heal. You might need to do some massage and or percussion therapy. So sometimes if people get fibrosis or scar tissue, I'll recommend getting a Theragun and taking the Theragun and using the percussion against the scar tissue to help break that up. Okay. And so that can happen in that procedure as well postoperatively, but all of that's part of the process. But the downtime is really not bad at all. And honestly, we have nothing that has ever been out like this before. And all the topical stuff has been proven it's just not that effective, right? You can do caffeine-based products and all this stuff. It does maybe a little bit of a good job, but it doesn't really, do the big work. It doesn't really get to the problem or address the main issue as to why this is happening.
But how much would that cost? Do you know offhand, or is it different locally, or?
Yeah, well, it depends on the location, obviously, but typically in general, and it depends on how many spots. So obviously if you're that person that only has 2, awesome, then it's usually around $3,500. It can go up to $5,500 with, a more severe case of that. Some people add it on in the operating room. So because we can do this in the office doesn't mean that people don't want it added on with their other procedures. So sometimes we'll be doing body contouring procedures, and then we add that on with it. So then in the OR, we're able to use it. And then someone's not, they can get all their procedures done in one go.
I would definitely add that on. Just knock it all out. Okay.
Well, because if you're going to go under and do stuff, you may as well do it. But I'm like a go big or go home person.
Oh, yeah. I would absolutely, yeah. So that seems, I was going to ask you, what are you looking for in the future? Like, what would you love to see in the future of body contouring that either is on the verge of happening or it hasn't been made yet? What would you be really excited to see? Or that of coming?
Yeah, I mean, I talk about high def liposuction. I think that is so underrated. Not a lot of people do high definition lipo in a way that can be really powerful for people. They sometimes throw the term around a lot, but ultimately, I think that is going to be a huge part of it as we focus more on natural contours of the body. These energy devices are getting better and better every year. They're not great yet still, right? There's still a lot of limitations, and where they work best in certain areas depends on the person and their skin type and all these things. And it works better for some locations, like under the chin or back of the arms works great. but they're not as great in some other locations, or it depends on your skin. If you have too much skin laxity, then the problem can be that you need really just a resection and not liposuction, right? And so every body is super different, and every body's going to react a little different too. So that's important to come in with that expectation.
So for those who are looking for a plastic surgeon to help with their body contouring, what are just a couple of things that they should be asking their plastic surgeon to find one that fits them the best?
Yeah, I think the most important thing that I continue to harp on is education. Really want to make sure that you have a board certified plastic surgeon. There are a lot of people out there that are not plastic surgeons, board certified plastic surgeons, that are performing these procedures. They are cosmetic surgeons, which are not the same. They do not get the same amount of training that we do. So in order to go into the field of plastic surgery, 𝗓𝗏𝗔 accredited program is 6 years if you go straight through. Otherwise, you do 5 years general surgery, 3 years fellowship in plastics, versus some of the cosmetic boards is not an accredited board through the 𝗓𝗏𝗔. There's no standardization in the training that they have. It's typically a mentorship. So it's a couple months, they get their certificate that says, I'm a cosmetic surgeon. Yay, I'm board certified, triple board certified in cosmetic surgery. And so really think about that. That doesn't mean that they're not good surgeons. It just means that they don't have the same training. And so you really want to make sure that you identify who is a good, safe surgeon.
How would they find out if they were board certified? Just it's on their website, or they need to go to the medical board and look up their license number?
So typically, if you go to the Board of Plastic Surgery, you can search their name to see if their board certification is active. You can check that state too to make sure. You can Google under the professional, like the government has a website that you can search professional licensures of people if they're active or not. So that's another way to do it. But sometimes even if you just Google them, the biggest thing that I can tell people is that if you cannot figure it out looking at their website, that's a red flag, right? If you're on their website and you cannot figure out where they did their training, if they're board certified, what they're board certified in, that is a trick, because this type of situation is predatory. They prey on the fact that people are not educated and don't understand the difference between a cosmetic surgeon and a plastic surgeon. And so because of those issues, sometimes people can do things that harm patients because they just didn't have the proper training.
I just had a doctor on. She wrote the book Medical Mayhem, and so it was about cosmetic scams. And oh my gosh, the things that I learned, I was like, this is scary. And the people are still practicing without their license.
Yes.
Once the board has taken away your license, there's really not much that you can do. I thought, this is insane.
Right.
So you really want to know who you're going to.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
Other good questions to ask are, have you done this before? What do your results look like? What is your aesthetic that you like? And so finding their social medias, their website, obviously it's hard sometimes because we can't post before and after pictures if the patients don't allow us to. And so sometimes I have before and after pictures that I can show people, but not on the website or maybe not on social media. And so it's only for kind of more private use. But that can show you a lot about what it is their aesthetic is. And if you align with that aesthetic, because everyone has a different creative nature in their aesthetic and what they like to do. And so this is why there's so many different people. It's all about fit. So you want to find the right fit for your surgeon and you.
Do you have so they could go to your office? Would there be if they can't post it on social, would there be like a book that they can look through?
Yeah, so I have an iPad that has pictures in there that, because a lot of times what I do is I will try to find my patients before and after pictures that are based on the patient that I'm talking to and showing them to, right? Because everyone's body style is different. So I think about what their body style is like. I think about what it is that they're asking me for. And I try to find a patient that I have that looks similar to that so that they have realistic expectations about looks a lot like my body. This is my body type. Okay, this is what you can expect. It makes it so much easier than when you're showing them the same size 0 person over and over again, who looks kind of the same in every picture, and yet their body's not like that.
Oh, I bet you get so many people. It's kind of like when you go in to get a haircut, you're like, I'd like to look like Jennifer Aniston, and I would like her hair. You remember when they all wanted that? I bet you get the same thing. Like, I would have looked and you're like, that is not your body. So I love how you made that point. It's got to be what fits your body.
Absolutely.
Do you have a top celebrity or somebody that people want to look like? Do you get that a lot?
Well, I think the Kardashians obviously are huge proponents to the trends in plastic surgery, right? They're the ones that do a lot of the trending of procedures and styles and contours and things like that. And so usually those are the type of people that people will refer to, especially in the time where we were having lots of large BBLs and large implants put in people. Because again, when the trends are happening, the celebrities follow the trends, or the celebrities make those trends, and then we follow along with those. And by then, it's usually those type of people. It's like why we're talking about like salmon facials and stuff like that now, right? Because it became popularized.
I think I'm going to pass that one. I could barely put my Stell mask on that I got. I was like, I can't do it. Can't do it.
No.
This turkey just can't do it. People are going to want to make sure, the ones that are watching, that I do ask you about your peak hair. It's so beautiful, but you rarely see a board certified plastic surgeon with peak hair. So is there a story behind this? Or you just like peak? I personally just want to know.
Yeah, so I'm a very creative individual. I love color. And for me, when I was in my medical training and my surgical training, you very much have to fit their box. You do what they say, you dress how they tell you to dress. One time I was very, very pregnant and showed up to a clinic in my flip-flops because none of my shoes fit me anymore. And my attending there gave me a really hard time for having flip-flops. And I literally was like, nothing else fits me. And I started crying and he was like, okay. And so, the things that we do for ourselves may seem abnormal or unusual or whatever. But when I finished my training, I didn't have anybody that had to tell me like, this is not appropriate. You can't do that. What does a board certified female plastic surgeon look like? Well, there's only 1,400 of us in the United States, right?
Really?
Yes. There's only 1,400 board certified female plastic surgeons in the United States.
That is shocking.
Yes, that is 17% of the total plastic surgeons out there. And so we are new to the field, right? We're still dealing with active sexism in our system, in our society. And then also I will tell you that the people that have complimented me on my hair the most are my 80-year-old patients. They just love it so much. Yes. When I was in Wisconsin, I see a lot of farmers there and stuff like that because they come from all over the place. And they were just like, I love your hair because it's me. It's authentic. I love it because when I first went pink, I first started to kind of trend on that. But really what made me go pink was I was doing a lot of breast reconstruction. And I was like, you know what? I want to show up and support my breast reconstruction patients in ways that I want to. And so I made my hair bright pink for October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it kind of just stayed. And so I kind of trend back and forth between purples and pinks. But in general, I think that, again, it's about being authentic to yourself. And I think that, especially living in the Midwest, we have a lot of gray days, and the color makes me so happy.
I love it. I think it gives a personal touch, a feminine touch, and it's fun. You're in a serious business and it just adds a little fun. Well, if anybody wants to come and work with you or, have a consultation, how do they find you? Where can they book an appointment? Let us know.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I'm located in Chicago, Illinois. My website is www.dsmarsaesthetics.com. You can find me on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. My handles on TikTok and Instagram are at dr.dahlia.rice. So you can shoot me a DM through that too. And we can, kind of get you set up in different ways. It's whatever people are comfortable with. They can text me, they can call me. And again, like I said, I really love having personalized care for my patients. I love having a boutique practice so that I can carve out the energy for my patients that I want to. They don't have to be a numbers game. I don't have to be shooing people through the door. So I try to make it as personal as possible.
I think that's really important. And I think that's where care is going too. I just do, because otherwise you're, like you said, you're just shuffled through and you're just not getting that personal touch for sure. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave the audience with they're finding a board certified plastic surgeon or anything for body contouring?
I think the biggest thing is, do your research, figure out what it is that you're interested in, but have an open mind, because some people come in, they want liposuction, but really they need a tummy tuck. And that can really derail someone when they're like, I'm thinking I'm not going to have a full surgery, but that's what you're saying that I need. And so going in with that open mind, maybe seeking multiple opinions, is very important to go to different people because everyone's going to have a different idea on what they think. But ultimately, you're going to find that you're going to vibe with one of those surgeons really good, right? You're just going to be like, I trust this person, because you want to be able to know that when things go down, that person's there for you no matter what. And so I just want to reiterate the importance of having that relationship and having a good fit, because I like to just, I'm like a hype girl. I'm like your surgeon hype girl, basically.
I think that's a great point. And I think you really should find a doctor that also has a really good bedside manner. Personalities have to fit. That doctor is going to take you through point A to point B. And it's just really important to make sure that you guys get along and that you like them. So it's a combination of skill and bedside manner together. And also the team, like the care from the center, from start all the way through to your recovery. It's like a whole process. So I love that you have a boutique, practice, and then it's the whole thing all in one.
Yeah, and little details matter. And I think that again, as women, we focus a lot on details. And a lot of times I see people, some of my colleagues just don't do that, or they get dismissed. They dismiss those patients' little details.
Right.
But again, similar to your story, is like, you were like, no, something is truly wrong. And you kept going until you found an answer. You advocated for yourself. And that is so important to do. And I think that it's hard sometimes as women, because we are so used to having external validation from men as we grew up, right? And so with the majority of plastic surgeons being males, maybe that is something somebody wants, or maybe they want a female's opinion. It really depends on the person. But definitely, if you do have an opportunity to see a female plastic surgeon as another option, you should absolutely give that a go.
Yes, I agree. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. To talk to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, my skin friends, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who may want to change their skin without all of the overwhelming confusion? And before you go, I would love to send you my free 48-hour skin makeover as a gift. All you have to do is leave your review on the podcast, because it really supports the growth of the show. This is my 48-hour skincare makeover guide, where I will show you all of my best tips to transform your skin quickly. Perfect for when you need to look amazing in a short amount of time. All you have to do is leave your review on the podcast, take a screenshot, and then head over to lindsayholder.com/review to upload it. And then you will get instant access to the 48-hour skincare makeover guide. Again, head to lindsayholder.com/review to upload your screenshot and get access. I am so grateful for all of your support and cannot wait to hear how the podcast has supported you. Now, time to grab your favorite skincare mask and have some TLC time for yourself. I'll meet you back here on Tuesday for another episode. Until next time.